Good morning and welcome to East Lawn Cemetery in Sacramento, California. Christina and I are going to go over techniques to use Nordic walking poles, and there are great advantages to Nordic walking. It can help you with balance and unloading. It can increase your cardiovascular output of up to 25 to 30%. Activity level. It can help strengthen your bones for osteoporosis. It can be a great thing for unloading backs and knees for walking, among other things. Getting outside, exercising is a great thing. So we're going to talk a little bit first about setup. So we're going to show you two techniques today. One for a relative beginner or someone who really wants to get the unloading effects or has a significant problem with balance that they want to work on. And so I'm going to demonstrate that part of it. I just want to show you that with Nordic walking poles there are a couple of types of tips. With the basic method we're going to have a flat tip. There's also, if you're out walking on DG paths or grass, you can take your tip off and there's a metal pole underneath there that helps you to get some friction on that type of ground. Christina is going to show you the classic.
It has a wet, you can see how it's wedged back, so when we walk it actually propels you forward so you can go faster, as Chris said, and when we go faster we burn more calories, so this is also for weight loss as well.
So other advantages and other things with the Nordic walking poles are different than hiking poles in that they're really pretty light, whereas hiking poles tend to be heavier, and they're meant to be used really in front of you to help you with balance and to go up hills. With these poles, they are meant to be lighter, and they also have a hand mechanism to help you hold without putting a lot of pressure through your hands. Christina, can you talk about the right and left and how they work?
So they have left and right hand grips even, and the handles you don't really grip them, especially with, we're going to again show you two different versions of doing this. You barely, when you first learn, you don't even hold on to the handle. The grips are there just to support your hand and the poles trail behind you, but you do have left and right. And the other nifty kind of thing is so you don't want to take your your hand grips off, there is a release on these that take the grips, you still have the grips on, and then it detaches the pole, and that's for safety as well.
Perfect. So let's talk about how to measure those poles. So we're both going to show you that you need to have your elbow at about 90 degrees, whether you're using the technique that I'm going to show you or the technique Christina, and you're going to look down at about 6 inches above or in front of and to the side, and that will be where you take your elbow at that 90 degree. There are different techniques to do it on. Mine unscrews back and forward to do it. Some of them have little latches that are really easy. You can actually travel with these poles. There's a type that you can completely fold up, and that makes for a great traveling tool. Even using one can be helpful to people that have balance or they're wanting to get out there and walk. So, Christina, anything else you want to add about that?
Well, actually, I just want to add about the collapsing down poles. They're great for travel. I've taken mine to Europe. These ones don't collapse all the way down. I have several poles. And in Europe, it's so popular. This is where the poles came from. So it's kind of interesting. When you're in the United States, sometimes you see people with poles, but in Europe, it's really everyone. Even at train stations, they're using it for stability, elderly people, post-knee surgeries, things like that. You really see it everywhere. So you don't feel strange walking around with your poles if you go to a foreign country.
One thing I want to mention as a bit of caution is we all love to walk with our dogs, and that's great, get out and walk, but I don't really recommend you walking with your dog, in particular when you're starting. People will sometimes clip the dog to their belt, but you just have to be careful always of balance and tripping over poles, and then if you have a dog, which is easy to trip over, so just use caution when you're deciding to do that in the beginning. Maybe take a walk with Rover and then come home and do your walk. So we're going to start with a couple of stretches, a few stretches that will help you to get ready to go Nordic walk. And we've picked this great location where we can just practice without cars or worry, and that's where I'd recommend for you to try it. Okay. So let's do a warm-up stretch for Nordic walking today. We're going to start with Christina's going to bring her sticks up overhead, holding both sides. You can hold them so you don't even have to put them down. And elongate. Always we're trying to get out of our spine. Push through your feet down into the ground and inhale, exhale, reach to the sky. And then after you feel a nice elongation, take 3 or 4 breaths here. Take your poles, stretch to the sky, and tip to the right. We're not going to compress completely over. We're all about getting long, getting tall, and unloading our body. And breathing to that side, opening up your left side, but keeping your whole right side long as we come back up and move to the other side. So I would highly recommend that you do, say, 3 to 5 of these, each of these sets. So overhead maybe 3 times, side to side 3 times. And then after she does that, she's going to bring her poles to her back and stretch her shoulders out, the fronts of her shoulders. So you can see her palms are forward and she's got them resting on her back end, and she's going to breathe into her chest, feel her chest open, still that elongation, the crown of your head, somebody's pulling you upward and taking breaths. So if it feels better to just do a hold, that's okay, or you can do 3 separate ones of this. We're going to focus more on the breath and the stretch and hold for a little longer today. And then after she does that, I'm going to have her just kind of put them in her low back and stretch backward into an extension. So Christina, turn to the side and let's show that. So we're always so forward fold. We're going to still think of drawing the sit bones together, pulling the belly up and the pelvic floor and lifting up. Let's bring the poles to the front, face forward, put your poles in front of you, and Christina and I together are going to do a calf stretch. So let's bring one leg back, front leg is bent, back leg is straight, knee is straight, heel is down, feet are in a nice parallel line. You can push through your poles to get that height we talk about. Inhale, exhale, do that 3 to 5 times, or just breathe and hold it as a nice warm up. You might even feel the front of your right thigh stretching out. And let's switch. And the opposite side, breathing. So we have a nice little balance tool with our Nordic sticks right now, which is great. And one more breath. And then Christina's going to show us a hamstring stretch. So she can hold on to her poles again for balance, and hip hinge, her handy little hip hinge, hinging into the hip. Back stays straight, back of the head is long, we're drawing our chin in, our shoulders, and feeling that nice stretch to our hamstring. And then go ahead and switch sides and breathe in. Feel the core on the front of the body as we do a nice stretch. So you can see that this is it's short, but it's a nice little effective stretch. And breathe it out and come back up. Facing forward again, and we're going to do a quad stretch. So the front of those muscles we're going to work. So Christina's going to hold on and stretch and use her poles again for support. If your balance is off, hold on to a park bench, hold on to a tree, somewhere that you know you're stable, in order to get the advantages of the stretch. And if you don't feel as stable, do these stretches before you leave home. And again, she's doing 3 breaths. Let's do the other side. Take 3 deep breaths. Great job. So now we're ready to walk.